Morning.
Welcome.
Notice I don't send you.
That's very interesting.
That's where I'm going to give my analysis. As the way you introduce me.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me as we welcome, even if Leicester City drew 1-1 with Manchester United, we still have the one, the only, the indomitable Tega Supreme.
Yeah, that's more like it. Good morning, Lagos.
Oh my goodness, good morning. Please send me messages on WhatsApp 0809444091 to be part of the show. You can also use Twitter.
Twitter is at smooth981 FM. Please use the hashtag lockerroom981.
All right, our first story is about the Super Eagles' lackluster experience. The home-based Super Eagles will now miss out of the party at the Chan 2020 in Cameroon in spite of the 2-0 win against Togo at the Agege Stadium in Lagos. Now, speaking later on the painful loss, Imama Amakbakagbo said the Eagles lost the match due to the unavailability of some important players for the team. In his words, and I quote, "We lost, and that was painful for everybody." The two games were completely different from each other, and the tactics were also different. The opposing team came with the tactics of defending through putting in more defenders while we want to have our goals. The 7 changes in the team for the second leg was due to the non-availability of the Rangers international players for the first leg, is what he said. So that's what they are
Mama, why are
blaming.
you talking like this?
Mm,
Let first of all, I will give him some props. I have to balance this thing.
mhm.
I will give him some props for changing his team when he noticed that his team did not work well and they went to Togo to collect 4-1. Okay, let me speak English. And they went to Togo and lost by 4 goals to 1.
Mm.
So he came back and made those changes. I think 7 of them made the team a little more expansive,
Yeah.
a little more complete. And attack minded, put the team on the pitch. Unfortunately, the team couldn't score more than 2 goals, and so they lost out on aggregate. So on that note, we will applaud him for maybe learning from his mistakes and correcting them. But I hate the suggestion that Togo shouldn't have come here to play how they played, because th- I say this all the time. That's what you do when you're away. You are not at home.
Mhm.
You can't be prancing around the pitch like Cinderella before midnight. You be humble. You watch out. You be compact. You defend. And then if you do have the opportunity, then you go out and score goals. But it doesn't make any sense to me to just go to foreign soil and just start playing expansive football, especially when you're playing against a team like Nigeria that you know has weaknesses. And so even if you had beaten them by 4 goals to 1 in the first leg, it doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot come home and lose by 4 goals to 0. So you have to be cautious, and that's what the Togolese were tactically adept to what was going on. Imama, on the other hand, wasn't. They were going to come there and they were going to close shop. They were going to park bus, trailer, lorry. So you had to find a way for your team to get all the goals that they needed. That was your job. That was your position to unlock that. And you didn't do that. So you can't come out and say, and they came and defended. There were 7 unavailable players. Okay, so you went with unavailable players. Then you play with the team you have. So you play your tactics to the kind of players that you have available to you for the first leg. And this particular interview, I took out some unreasonable parts, because there was one part that he said that it was God's perfect plan that Nigeria didn't qualify. I was like, God is sitting in heaven thinking about Chan Eagles. Are you serious? That's what he's doing. He's just planning that Chan Eagles should not go next year for the competition. So I mean, you look at. I would say this for him. Yes, he did learn from his mistakes. A little too late, a little too poor. But that he doesn't have the tactical depth, if you ask me. For these waters he was given, it was too deep for him to swim. And so he should have just said, oh, I made a mistake, I made some errors, this is that. But they'll never say that. It's always God's perfect plan.
It's
Yeah.
God's perfect plan, but
So yeah, no Nigeria at Chan
I
next
can't
year.
At
believe
all.
No Ghana at Chan.
Not even.
even
Not
So
our
you see,
brothers.
cause sometimes,
brothers.
yeah, cause sometimes you're happier. You get some consolation when you see somebody else that is not going.
Mm.
So
Horrible.
Nigeria and Ghana, they are not going. So we are all happy.
Let's organize our own competition somehow, somewhere. All right, let's move on to tennis. Andy Murray beat Stan Wawrinka to win first title since hip surgery. So Murray broke down in tears after winning his first singles title since career-saving hip surgery by beating Stan Wawrinka at the European Open. The Briton launched a stunning comeback from a set and a breakdown to win 3-6, 6-4, 6-4 in Antwerp to take his first title for more than 2 years.
Okay, so I would have loved to read a lot of his statement. It was a
Means a lot,
struggle, it was
yeah.
tough. But let me put it this way. You see, I tell people that I'm allergic to physical pain.
Mhm.
Like if you pinch me, they can hear my screams in Oshodi. That's how
Really, as strong
I
as you are.
Ching, for where? That's how I am. But I think that Andy Murray has had this struggle. And I remember the first time he came back from his hip surgery and he couldn't even walk straight. Remember, you could tell that there was something off about him.
Mm.
And he tried to play and then he cried that his career was over, he's retiring, this and that. You know, I think it was that made people reach out to him and say, you know what, try this doctor here. Because he, it was at that time it was hopeless. He could barely walk well. So you see him come on the pitch and he's walking and he does look like there's something wrong with him. And so asking him to run or play good tennis was totally different. Then he says, oh, he's going to retire, he can't do this anymore. And then he gets a new he gets another surgery, and this time the surgery is more hopeful. That's the Andy you're seeing now. He's played in 7 tournaments since his comeback. It doesn't look a few of you would have seen him play doubles with Serena.
Yeah.
He's been playing doubles, but recently he started playing singles again. And he's the same workhorse. He puts in the same court coverage, effort, everything. That hip doesn't give him any problems. And sometimes you just need to cry out. And maybe people will say, you, you know, this is what it is. This is how we can help you. You can go to this doctor, you can see this doctor. Because sometimes we always like to say, you're not the only one going through pain. Man up. There is no award for the strongest person. Trust me. The person that can bear the most pain, there's no award. Even in football, they don't give
No,
free
but they
kick if
give
you
you
don't
that
fall well.
in boxing and that other sport.
No,
Now,
you
now,
die. That's what happens. So don't do that. Just if something hurts, cry out. You just don't know who the solution is with.
Yep.
And so he's back now to this the same Andy. I mean, the tennis is still getting there, but at least physically he's good to go. And so him playing in this tournament, I remember Vavrinka was so happy. Vavrinka was like, I'm sad I lost, but I'm happy you're back. That's how that. So you will know how bad it was when your opponents are looking at you and excited that you're beating them. And so I think for Andy is such great news to see him play the game that he loves at the level that he would like to play it. So I can't wait for Australian Open now that everybody's back like Michael Jordan. Let's just see how the next Grand Slam is going to be. End of year is top 8, but Australian Open from next year on, let's see who wins what.
Okay.
Are you ready to receive this? Elephant in the room.
I'm
Wait, calm down. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp said it's a fact that Manchester United always set up to defend against his side at Old Trafford. Klopp's Premier League leaders needed a late Adam Lallana equalizer on Sunday to earn a 1-1 draw against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side, who at 2 points above the relegation zone were actually squarely there. But he said this year, last year, the year before, they just defend. That's how it is. It's okay. It's no criticism. It's just a fact. When you think about Manchester United against Liverpool, you think both teams are trying like this, but it's not. We try. They
Okay,
don't.
yeah, we try, they don't. Again, I will say this, and this is with all the love in my heart. Get over it. Football is a game of attack and defense. The thing is, if I don't have the resources in my arsenal to attack, go attack head to head with you on attack, then I'm going to use what I know how to do best, which is defend. I don't know why people complain that we went out there to play, the other team went out there to defend. Defend is part of playing now. You know that they are going to do that every time you come here, according to him. And this is what's upsetting. You say every time you come to Old Trafford, they defend. Then you came to Old Trafford and you allowed them to defend again. You too, you play your own game. And Liverpool didn't play their own game, at least for most of the first half. That one I can categorically say. They came in and they were a bit tentative. And I say this after international breaks. Players don't usually come back to teams and just hit the ground running. And maybe that and the fact that Mo Salah wasn't playing, breaking the band of that front trio for Liverpool was maybe a problem. But first half, it wasn't the same Liverpool. It wasn't the same Liverpool that liked to run with the ball. It wasn't the same Liverpool that had width. It was like the two fullbacks were afraid of Marcus Rashford. For some reason, they were not venturing forward. And so they didn't. That's usually where Liverpool gets their extra width from. So all those crosses coming into the box weren't coming. Mane had nothing to chase, even if he had the pace to do it. And maybe because of the way also Manchester United set up, there was no space for Liverpool to play their expressive football. But it was down to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer looking at the team that he was facing and saying, I'm not going to give you the chance. I'm not to beat me. Do you understand? I'm not going to roll over for you. If you're going to take something off me, you're going to have to overcome me to do it. And Klopp just didn't do that. Even the goal that came in the second half, it was more of a lapse in judgment of Manchester United's defense than the brilliance of Adam Lallana at the end of the day. For 1 minute, Manchester United switched off and left an unmarked Lallana in the box, and he scored the goal. And that's how they got their goal. There's going to be complaints about the VAR and stuff. I would say this for Martin Atkinson yesterday. The Sadio Mane goal was definitely not a goal because he did touch his hand. But the build-up, the foul in the build-up to the Manchester United's goal is open to debate. And sometimes I tell people, you're playing football, sometimes somebody's going to touch your leg.
Yes.
And so sometimes referees look at the contact and say, oh, it's not enough for him to have gone down. Play on. They're playing football. They're not playing singles tennis. So, and because it's a debatable decision, it's not always going to be overturned. Unfortunately, I'm also hearing that in the EPL, it seems like the video assistant referees are determined not to overturn the on pitch. It's like they're siding with them that okay, it was except it's really wrong, then they come out and say something like that. But I would say this: Martin Atkinson didn't do a bad job, and even the first time I saw Origi go down, I didn't think the contact was enough. It was with VAR, I said, oh, he did kick him in the shin. Yeah. Perhaps that was a foul. So maybe that's what the referee viewed it as. The contact wasn't enough. Let's play on, let's go on. So with debatable decisions like that, VAR may not overturn it. So I would say, if you ask me, Martin Atkinson, yesterday, 8 over 10.
All right.
Well, if you asked me, I'd just like to give a little tongue out to all those who said you're going to patch your goals. Get ready.
But guess what?
They're going to finish you.
Nobody asked you. So.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back with your messages. The Locker Room 981.
This is
I know.
As in, I wish he didn't.
Let me tell you how bad it was.
If he had won.
No. They're expected to lose. But if they had won, if they had not had that,
If Liverpool had won?
If Man U had won, if they had not had that one brief moment of switch off, I swear to God.
We won't have heard the last of it.
Nah.
No,
Even
but
me.
I mean, well deserved.
Even me,
honestly.
because from where with Liverpool is Manchester United holding this Liverpool side? This Manchester United.
You people, I hope you guys, all of you that came out and were telling us how many goals we are going to pack, that we should just get ready. We're going to do this. I hope you are speaking now.
And you all of a sudden you have come back.
Yeah.
Ah.
I thought you switched to Arsenal.
I'm telling
No,
you.
Then you can decamp. Oh, I don't like the way you're decamping
Never
up and
in
down.
Arsenal. Arsenal is just, I support Arsenal because my husband is just a
But you
deep
denied
Arsenal fan.
You were very quiet
But
for Manchester United last week.
We are the champions.
My face now. Champion for where?
Do you know Pepsi? Pepsi.
Of course.
Can he come?
Who is Percy? Oh, I thought it was a Man U player. No, I don't know Percy. I thought you wanted to put me on the spot by giving me one Man U player.
He doesn't know anything about football.
Really?
I don't
I'm
watch.
doing that. Why?
But I saw the match yesterday. Once in a while. But I love Arsenal
It's
though.
Tega that made me. I was telling who was it? That was
She also made me because I wanted to.
Okay, yeah, I had a guest on Saturday morning, and the lady was saying how she listens to you and she doesn't know anything, but because of you. You know many women people have come better. I said that's my story, that's my testimony.
On Sunday,
Sit
please
down,
testify.
I'll testify. Me, sit down and be saying, let me watch. I'll literally be watching because I have to say something. I said I'll even be sending a message. Tega, are you watching what I'm watching? No, that man
Calm
you
down,
score.
calm
That
down.
man you score.
So don't tell me you don't know Pepsi.
No, I don't know. I don't know these people. If I
Is
don't
this
know them-
person's friend? Pamila's friend?
No, I didn't know him. What's the name of his?
Do you remember that particular time when there was a rumor that on Twitter, Pamela had to carry somebody on his lap on Twitter? You've forgotten.
I have not forgotten. I did not hear about it.
You did not hear about it? Let me show you his stuff.
I didn't hear about
He's also a
it.
social media influencer. I'm chatting with him.
I don't know him. I don't know him. People
You don't know him,
Sorry.
Abi?
Mm.
You
Do
might-
you know Peggy? I'm even better than you.
You should know
If they
Pepsi.
don't play a sport, I can't. If they can't run for 90 minutes, I don't know them. I don't know anybody that runs.
Social media
it.
influencer.
Exactly. We don't know him. Gosh, we don't know
You only
him.
know Pamela.
I know Wow, don't you know the family on
It's not influencing me, so.
I even know the. Oh wait, I even know the. Who is family?
You know him on Twitter now.
I don't know.
Look at him.
What does he
Look
talk
at
No,
about?
I can never know him.
What does he
I
talk
just know
about?
him. He's just a Twitter influencer. And the reason I know him is because I think he's the one that got into trouble with someone that slapped him.
Yeah, and Davido's.
That's why I know him.
Oh, that was why you knew
That's
him.
why I know him. The family, I don't
Davido slap somebody.
know. What's the video? Ooh.
Bodyguard.
What's this guy's name that has anger issue?
And I've forgotten his name.
Peruzzi.
Peruzzi.
Oh,
I
Peruzzi.
thought you were an Arsenal fan. Why are you supporting Man U?
Peruzzi.
Bosun, mind yourself.
Peruzzi is
not
broke.
an Arsenal fan. I am.
If Davido slaps me like this, I'm hammered. I will tie my neck,
He's on the road.
tie my hand.
YouTube fan.
We're back up.
Why should he slap? Is he mad?
Oh, really?
Doesn't have,
You said he wants to.
doesn't have home training. I'm just saying. when you say-
Video, mind yourself. Say how Man U has fallen, working so hard for just a draw. We are happy for that draw.
We agree.
We are grateful for it.
I'm not even a Man U fan.
Exactly.
but-
I was gonna say
What team do you
that,
support?
like,
What team do you support?
Warren Wolves.
I'm going to read your message first. Studio mics are up. Thank you for staying tuned to Smooth 98.1. We're talking sports inside of the Locker Room 981 is a segment of Smooth Breakfast. And on YouTube, where we're streaming live, Vichidio said, "Oh, how Man U has fallen, working so hard for just a draw, shaking my head.
Because with the draw, we are happy. I've almost lost my voice from all the shouts.
Man U this, Man U that, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oga, you take it. Oga, you take it match by match.
I'm telling you.
Mhm.
All right, there's more. Read one sent in a message on WhatsApp. Read one says VAR in England is a scam. We haven't even seen a view of the VAR room shown before the start of the match, like in La Liga. We also do not know who the VAR officials are. Who knows if there is even any VAR at all in the EPL?
But
English League and controversy be like bread and butter, he said.
no, but okay, I agree with you that a VAR in England cannot be helped. It's not the VA, it's the R. But I have seen they showed the room yesterday now.
Mm.
And here's what's tricky about the VAR in England. Their monitors are more,
Oh, okay.
but the view is limited.
The more you look, the less you
I'm
see.
telling you, it still comes down to the R.
Promise from Elisha says, I think this Man United draw with Liverpool was all planned by Klopp and the rest. They do not want Ole to be sacked. So that Man United can suffer more this season.
That conspiracy theory, even I wouldn't buy it.
Bemi.
Baby says, what I fear for Anne-Marie is that he overstresses that heap again and the same problem occurs again.
But I'm glad he's back.
Yeah.
Bosu thinks, Bosu, I was wondering the same thing. I thought you were an Arsenal fan. Why are you supporting Man U
You shouldn't
today?
get it twisted, please.
So whose fan are you?
She's a Manchester United fan
Okay.
that's married to Arsenal.
Ah.
So when Manchester and to an Arsenal fan.
That's a very good combo, yeah?
So when Manchester United are going through something, she will hide behind the Arsenal fan.
Man U and Arsenal. Good combination, eh?
So yeah,
Nice.
she's
Please, let's talk about
Let's move on to the next one. Real Madrid beaten by Mallorca as Barca go top of La Liga. So Barcelona sailed back to the top of the table on Saturday, and trouble returned to Real Madrid after they endured their first La Liga defeat of the season at newly promoted Real Mallorca. Now Alvaro Odriozola allowed Lago too much room to cut inside and was then sent off late on, even if Madrid's attempt at a comeback looked doomed well before they were reduced to 10. Now, Real coach Zidane said, the problem is we have to show every 3 days that we are good. That's what we won't do. We have to be consistent. We have to put more life into our game if we want to achieve anything this year.
Totally agree. Every 3 days you have to come back and bid for the job. Otherwise, you are out of it. This is just sad news for me because now Ernesto Valverde may get to stay longer. Because I mean, how did they sack you when you came back and you are now at the top of the table, even if it's just by 1 point? And you're not doing badly in UEFA Champions League. You can't sack that manager now. This is just so poor. I feel bad, but starting from Saturday, it was Barcelona with the early kickoff against Eibar, and the three players, Messi, Suarez, and Antoine Griezmann, did score goals. Again, when you have a team with that quality in it, you will get goals and you will get quality goals, and ideally you should be beating teams by 5 goals and 6 goals. I know they are all professionals and not amateurs, but I mean, looking at the quality all around the Barcelona pitch, even if some of them are slow like Sergio Busquets, but some of them are young and sprightly like Frankie de Jong, and then you have the majestic Messi right there. You have Luis Suarez, you have Antoine Griezmann. You're going to score goals and you're going to go to some of those smaller teams and you're going to get wins. They did score the goals. They did create a few more chances, and maybe the goals could have been more, but they still looked defensively questionable. Again, that's Barcelona for you, and they still are not convincing to me. Because sometimes I'm watching that team and I'm saying, what if you're playing against a top side like Real Betis? Even if Real Betis are going through their own struggles in the La Liga, but sometimes you're playing a top side like that, you will not easily get 3 goals. But Barcelona did the job they needed to do, scored 3 goals, got 3 points, got to the top of the table and started waiting for anybody else to come and meet them at the finish line. And Real Madrid couldn't top that. Real Madrid, I would say this for Real Madrid, when they started the game against Mallorca, they knew it was going to be a tough battle. And then they went there, and from the get-go they showed some intent, but unfortunately Vinicius Junior couldn't convert any of the chances he had, which was the difference between Barcelona and Real Madrid. The quality at the top. Vinicius Junior is a great talent and he's a future player. So I'm looking at Vinicius and I'm saying, give him, in 5 years we'll be saying world class if he continues putting in this work. But at Barcelona, I'm looking at them and saying, this is already world class. And I guess that's where the difference with Real Madrid is. And that didn't used to be Real Madrid. Real Madrid used to buy everybody. As soon as you start getting popular and your brand starts growing, Florentino Perez will be in your house. but they don't have those players right now. So sometimes they have to grind out results when teams are being a little stubborn. And that's what happened on the day. So yes, I totally agree. Even before the red card came, it didn't look like Real Madrid was going to do much. Even the usual consolation goals that Sergio Ramos or Casemiro would bring, they didn't even really get into positions where they could threaten. So yeah, Real Madrid has lost the lead for this week. We don't know how El Clasico will be. and we don't know about the week after, and then the other week after, and
What do
then
you
the other
think?
week after.
Let me just ask you a question. I know you might not answer, but let me just try. So, based on their current forms, both of them, who do you think would win El Clasico?
If they met today,
Yeah.
wanna be Barcelona die.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just saying, if they met today, it would definitely, again, it will come down to the big name players on the team and how they're faring. Eden Hazard is still finding his way into Real Madrid. Benzema, not the sharpest of knives in any kitchen. And Vinicius is still young. So you compare that with Barcelona's front trio. Barcelona that will win.
All right. Okay, we very quickly just touch on the fact that Emery believes Arsenal can achieve something important this season. Appearance suggests at least the top four finish. Is that possible?
Ah,
He seems very confident in this one.
so,
Of course. So.
well, today, all they need to do is beat Sheffield United, who is before them.
Mm-hmm.
They can worry about top four at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And that's what they have to do. Like Zizu said, every time you come on the pitch, you have to prove that you are good enough. And that's what Arsenal has to do. Good news, I'm hearing Lacazette has been in training and he could be back. So great for Arsenal. But Sheffield United is also another banana skin kind of team. You go there and you never know what you will see. So they could make life hard for an Arsenal side that like to run with the ball, that like space to move the ball around, and then hit on the counter. And you know that Arsenal's defense is not the best defense you've seen anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky time for Arsenal going away to Sheffield United and trying to get all 3 points. But he's looking at his team and he's seeing the crop of players. Just the same way I look at that team and saying this team is just a little better,
Yeah.
a little younger and a little faster, a little more. There's a little more talent here, and perhaps maybe this will be the team that would make the top four. But what they need to do is that every time they get on the pitch, they need to show that ambition, not by just the enterprise of their good play, but also by the results they bring at the end of the day. Because it may be a struggle against the top six, but if you can get as many points as you can from the rest of the 12 teams in the Premier League, you're really good to go.
All right. Femi from First Access, I like what Mourinho said in response to Klopp's ranting. He has never won there. He wanted meat, well, served fish. Thanks, Femi. Joe says Klopp should just let it go. However, the referee was quite abysmal in his calls. Anyway, Liverpool was still the better side and unbeaten. So happy. Tega, so what's up with the Chamberlain and Manchester United fans? That's what Joe is asking.
Oh, it's Oxlade-Chamberlain. I don't know. I'm not a Manchester United fan.
All right.
All right. So Emma Makoka says, just when I thought Shalaye FC have finally Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's driving license, they went back to the drawing board. Oluwapopa was missing, but James was doing the Lord's work in that midfield. Also, I think Ainde Martial should have started the match. After all the bad goals, they still at 13th position.
I know. Marshall is a very incompetent solo striker. He can't work for any. He doesn't put in the work, and so the minute when they took him out was when Liverpool fullbacks were like, Rashford is gone. Okay, let's just go for, because they knew Marshall was not going to run. Marshall was looking for people to join up front, but Rashford is the kind of person that you give the out ball and he will put the work in. Marshall is not going to do that kind of work. He wants everything laid on a plate for him, so he can just come around and shake his waist and then score one goal and then run and celebrate. He doesn't work. So because he doesn't work, I can never start him if I'm the one.
Well, Shay thinks Aya supports two clubs in case of emergency. It's a Valentine. The Chan Eagles were shambolic ordinarily. Togo, you can't even beat. Tega, Newcastle's goalkeeper, averted any Chelsea beating them like 14-0. Abba, he was saving all goals. Even the lone goal, he still touched it. On YouTube.
All right, Ojo Oladele says, Man, you did more than expected yesterday. People thought you was going to be goals galore. Honestly, thank you, Oladele. You're the only person who's spoken the truth so far.
Yeah, they even patched the hair up. Do you know how bad the hair was injured? He couldn't run. If you notice, there's some balls that came into the 18-yard box and normally he'd run and go and help out his vendor and catch it. He did not do that. He couldn't run very well because he didn't want to stress his hamstring. So he was a walking wounded, literally.
How would they have allowed because it was Liverpool for the next few games? You know, we're saying that was one of the reasons why people said they're going to pack home.
It's because you guys managed to win. Still talking. Promise from Elisha says just one word on Perez on Zidane out. We're done. Thank you for your messages. Please catch Tega Supreme on Twitter and for what ladies are doing or what they're planning for November at LIS International. All right, keep updated with what's going on there. And of course, next we have the final hour for Smooth Breakfast rolling on. It's called Lagos Talks 981.
Yeah.
So they hear, sorry, they made him pick yesterday.
Oh yes, no.